We need to be innovative and we need to be
We're not
challenging.
going to see that in our lifetime again.
We need each other much more than we did when times are good.
Okay, folks, thank you very much for joining us again this year in our third annual Shipper Carrier Issues Roundtable. We're looking forward to having an open and very insightful discussion. We have both carriers and shippers here, as well as a person from a consulting side of things. So I think we're going to have a really interesting discussion. First question I want to throw out there for you. I mean, we're definitely into some difficult times. Certainly, things are likely going to get even more difficult. But if for a moment we can just leave all that doom and gloom aside for a while, if we can just position ourselves to look ahead to the future, and even actually look at right now. Is there any positive things out there that you see? Anything that you see out there that you like? Wes, I'll start with you first, since you've come here from the furthest away.
I think we need each other much more than we did when times are good. There seems to be better cooperation and better discussions, both looking for the same thing, ways that we can drive costs out of it, and also have the service that the customer would need. So I think working together is really going to be something maybe a lot of us haven't had a lot of experience with a lot of our customers. With some certainly, but a lot of them it seemed to be that when you're not needed, I guess you kind of forgetting. But I think there is a need for both the shipper and as well as the carrier. So I'm seeing that draw is a lot stronger now than it was before.
Okay, sounds good. Michelle, how do things look on your end?
Well, on your side, if I can just add on Wes' comments, I think the collaboration is certainly appreciated, and we in some of the discussion with our customers, we now, since the trust is there and the confidence is there, we can go deeper in some subject and really understand what their customers are asking. And this is what we are facing today. And when we understand what your customer wants, it's easier for us to adjust and maybe, change the methodology, change a few things on our side. So on the other side, it gives us great opportunities at this time as well.
Okay, so we're hearing, Ginny, we're hearing about working together. We're hearing about trust. We're hearing a higher level of confidence, and I guess those are all good things. How does it? What are the positives from your end?
That's exactly what I was thinking when you asked the question. Is that now that times are tough, it's a perfect opportunity for people to either change up their model, look at doing something differently, and how can we do this differently and better, because the times are tough. We can't just ride on what we've had in the past. And I think the old saying is that when times are tough and you're number two or whatever the case is, it makes you work harder. So I think this is just making us work harder to do better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Warren, anything to add to that?
Absolutely. I think given where the economy is today and the speed at which we've found ourselves in this situation. Now more than ever, we are going to need to change the model and fundamentally relook at how we're doing business and ultimately how we're servicing the end customer and end consumers. So I think looking at the entire supply chain, both shippers, carriers, and customers are going to need to focus on how do we find more cost-effective ways to service the marketplace. And we need to be innovative, and we need to be challenging every process to find new and different ways.
Okay, that need to be innovative, I want to definitely come back to that later. But Kevin, first on to you. Anything from the carrier's end that you can add to this conversation?
The biggest thing I see is that a lot of the customers are coming to us now and they're trying to get more of a relationship built with us. And that's from A to Z, whether it's their raw materials, their finished product, or anything in between. And I think what I see in the economy right now is that you're going to see the weeding out of a lot of the smaller carriers. Because of what it is, they just can't keep up with technology demands, whether it's with customs or with the industry or with the relationships with your customers themselves.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Dan, you're in an interesting position because you were an executive in some very large trucking operations before, and now you worked on as a consultant. You're working with shippers, so you see both sides of the fence. You've worked with some smaller carriers, some smaller shippers. Is what you're hearing here ring true when looking at smaller shippers as well as smaller carriers, or are we still seeing a lot of well, times are such that we can beat up on the carrier, and then there isn't that kind of working relationship as we're hearing?
Well, I think for many shippers, I think they've reached a certain level of maturity in how they're looking at their relationship with their carriers, and I think that this historical thing of trying to beat up the carriers on price, I think more and more shippers are being enlightened now and saying there's a lot of capacity leaving the market. So you've got to surround yourself with some good quality companies that are going to be there at the end of the day. And you want those companies to be there for you when the sun rises again, and that capacity will be there for you. So I think there's a more mature relationship. I see shippers trying to help carriers now and saying, I know you don't really want this outbound freight, but look, if I can give you some of this good inbound freight, take some of my outbound freight, there's more of a trade-off, more of a collaborative type of approach. So I think that's all a plus.